Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews, an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 17 years now, we've been asking the Frantrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show. Well, we're meeting with Ryan Vesce, the co-founder and CEO of Matterhorn Fit. And Matterhorn Fit is an anecdotal yet robust representation of some ascendant trends in the fitness space, like individualized programming, strength training for all demographics, and neurological-based movement patterns. Matterhorn Fit Method is a non-invasive, full-body approach to health and wellness. Through their unique process, they identify the root cause of your problems and any other areas that could be hindering your progress. I'm going to talk to Ryan about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 17 years now, we've been asking the Frantrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Ryan Vesce, the co-founder and CEO at Matterhorn Fit. And Matterhorn Fit is an anecdotal yet robust representation of some ascendant trends in the fitness space, individualized programming, strength training for all demographics, and neurological-based movement patterns. Hi, Ryan. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
This is my pleasure, Ryan. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Ryan?
I am in beautiful Bonita Springs, Florida. Actually took this call outside, and the weather is amazing.
See, you're gonna rub it in because I'm in Easton, Pennsylvania, and it's freezing cold here, Ryan.
Well, I know the feeling. I grew up in New York and spent time kind of all over the world, but yeah,
I know you have.
So
I've been following you back. I know you've been in Russia and you've been all over the place. So, and it's interesting because I thought, maybe we could even go back to the beginning, Ryan. Now, I'm curious, when did you start playing hockey? And maybe you could talk about your hockey career because it's really very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, so I played 14 years professionally, played a little bit in the NHL with the San Jose Sharks, spent 10 years in Europe, 6 of which was in the Russian League, and then I was in Sweden, Switzerland, Finland, also lived in Croatia and Belarus. And my career took me all over the world and definitely helped me shape the thought process around rehabilitation and performance. And I was an undersized guy who had actually quite a bit of injuries, over eight surgeries in my career. And really the Matterhorn Method was founded just as a function of trying to keep myself healthy to extend my own career.
Yeah, because, I mean, hockey is, I don't have to tell you, right? I mean, it's such a dangerous sport. I never played on, of course, your level, but, when we were kids, we used to have a pond by our house, and we would play hockey on the pond. I still have a dent in my lip. I got checked when I wasn't looking, and 40 years later, I still got this bump on my lip, so I don't have to tell you. I mean, hockey is such a dangerous sport. Did you start playing at a very young age, Ryan? When did you start playing?
Yeah, I grew up in Long Island, New York, and my older brother played, so I was at the rink, he was 6, I was 4. I think my mom just threw me out there and said, stop, hanging around me in the crowd here, might as well get out there and, skate and get some exercise. So that's how I started and really just fell in love with the game. So
that's great. What did you, I'm curious, Ryan, what did you learn, from hockey as you apply it to business today? Because I always felt like there's a relationship between sports and business, Ryan.
Yeah, it's really the lessons from the game that really help shape me and help a number of, a lot of athletes in regard of if it's hockey, irrespective if it's hockey or a different sport, but, really the discipline, the attention to detail, the mental side of just, being optimistic and positive and always believing you can achieve. For me, I'm undersized from Long Island, New York, and I made the NHL, which is, no one thought I could do. And so after having that experience, mentally you feel like you can overcome things, which gives you the confidence to start a business and try to be as successful as possible.
Yeah. And I know you've had a number of injuries in your lifetime too, right? It was interesting when I was studying Matterhorn Fit, I really threw myself into it because, I think a lot of people like myself, we don't even understand the whole concept of pain. I didn't even realize that there's a whole relationship between, neurological, your brain and pain. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that because I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So how we started was I had 8 surgeries in my career, 2 of which were back and hip surgery. In 2013, I thought I was going to retire. I really couldn't play.
Wow.
Was living in constant pain, and my strength coach at the time, Sean Sullivan, who's now co-founder of Matterhorn Fit, we put together a program that just started combining all of these elite techniques from these neurological practitioners that I met in multiple different countries into one systematic process with his strength and conditioning. And in doing so, for me, it unlocked all my compensation, relieved all my pain. I played for another 5 years, pain-free, some of the best hockey I played in my career. Wow. And when we retired, we said, let's see if this could work for other people, if this is just simply an anomaly for my own body. And so that's how we started. And really, the relationship between the neurological, aspect of pain versus the structural aspect of pain, what we're finding time and time again, most of people's pain is coming from a neurological deficit, meaning how the brain is communicating with their body. So that's like the body can absorb the force of movement. If that's out of whack, then too much force ends up going to the wrong places, which signals a pain response or compression, or you get, other things that happen because of that. And so what we do at Matterhorn is we figure out exactly where that breakdown is coming from. We unwind that pattern. It generally takes 2 weeks in rehab to unwind that. And then we build a personalized movement plan to prevent it from coming back. And so we've seen, tremendous success with our process, which is one of the reasons why we decided to franchise, which is to empower, our franchise partners to have that same impact in their community and to scale our process, across the country, as quickly as possible. So
I think it's fascinating, right? Because I learned a lot this week just in studying the business model and learning about pain and things like that. And it looks like it's broken down, or the system anyway looks like it's broken down into a 4-step process. Like it's diagnose, reconnect, reinforce, strengthen. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that because I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And so step 1 is really everyone who comes to our facility, all we start with is an initial evaluation. There's nothing to really do on our side. It's not like you sign up for, a package, right? You just start with an initial evaluation. We figure out if there are parts of the body not communicating with the brain. That's the first step.
Right.
Once we figure that out, we then take you through 2 weeks of treatment to reconnect those patterns. We use various techniques. Obviously, we hold our methodology. It's proprietary. We hold it very close to our hearts, but we use various techniques depending on the individual situation to reconnect those patterns. And then once we get them working, we prime the neurological system, things are firing as they should, then we build a personalized movement plan to prevent it from coming back. So that's the reconnect, and then the reinforce phase is when you start that movement plan, and then you just continue to strengthen over time. And so, our clients start with us, a lot of them because they have pain, and then they end up continuing. We have people, since the day one we started, have been training with us 3 times a week, and that's where they do their personal training. So our facility is a little different where we have that rehab side, but then we have a full high-performance gym in the facility. So it's easy to kind of fully integrate that process. And we found our niche of, fixing people who are in pain, who haven't been able to be fixed, as well as, dealing with high-performance individuals and athletes. Right. We have over 70 professional athletes, 11 Olympians, and thousands of active individuals. So it's the process has proved itself. It works, and now we're really excited about the next steps.
The market must be huge too, because it's not, just limited to, athletes too, Ryan. I don't have to tell you, I was reading I think it was a funny interview with you. You mentioned something because it made me think of my life, I think you were talking about your grandparents, in our time, our grandparents didn't do much, did they? They kind of just watched the TV, right?
Right.
And it's a different world today, isn't it? Like you see so many more older people. I mean, there's so much more active, and they're probably, I don't want to say like everybody deals with pain, but the market must be huge. I mean, from young to old. Yeah, and
that's really kind of which is the most exciting for our franchise partners is the market is huge. There's over 50 million people in pain. We address people from ages 12 all the way to 90. And as you said, that older population is becoming more and more active. They're not the same as when, my grandfather would go from the couch to the dinner table and back to the couch. That was pretty much what he did. And so, a lot of the people are playing these sports with pickleball and golf and tennis and exercising more. And so to be able to, keep them healthy, figure out exactly where their breakdowns are, and then create a personalized movement plan so that they're getting something very specific for their individual situation has been it's been awesome. And the market is huge, and that's another really exciting part of kind of our growth.
No, I totally agree. Did you and your business partner know, like when you started this thing, Ryan, that it was franchisable, or like at what point did you say, we really have something here and we can share this? When did that happen?
Yeah, the truth is we didn't know it was franchisable when we started. The first step was just seeing if it could work with other people. As we started seeing the results, a couple of years in, we did a third-party study. That study came back with the results were phenomenal, just on all accounts. And so that was when we really started thinking about, okay, we have the option to grow our corporate locations, which we ended up having to do. We have one in Bonita Springs. Just by a function of filling that facility. We had to open another one in Naples. And so we said we can continue to go the corporate route, but for us it was the process was so powerful that we wanted the speed to market. We wanted to get out there as quickly as possible and have empower individuals to help their own community. So that's kind of where that decision came from. And it's been great going through that process. We're very close to closing our first couple franchise partners.
That's great.
And we have a ton of interest. It's been, just a great experience overall, to see the interest and the impact in our brand. And I think, one of the main things why we're getting so much interest is because we're differentiated. We have a process that is, different than anything else out there. And so that's, attractive for people.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. What's been, tough question, Ryan, but because, you have probably thousands of stories, since starting Matterhorn Fit. What's been one of the most interesting things that have happened to you since starting this whole thing?
Yeah, I think, we have a lot of the people we are attracting now is people who have tried other methods, and they, come to us because one of their friends has been healed by us and trained with us, and so I think probably the most gratifying thing is to see those type of people who couldn't be fixed end up being fixed by our process and inspiring hope to them, through our process. And it's really funny how when you can inspire hope in someone and they can start to have the results, that fuels behavioral change, and that's where they can really make some really big life-changing results. Small example, a woman who couldn't walk across the room without shuffling her feet. After her first session, she walked across the room. Her husband was on the other side. She grabbed him. She started crying. And she said, "This is it." And she's been training with us for over 2 years now, doing everything.
That's great.
And it was just a matter of breaking that pattern. And so that's been the most gratifying thing, I think, on the athlete, just from being an athlete. I think on the athlete side is just attracting so many professional and high-level athletes that also, for me personally, keeps me in the game. And keeps me, it was my life for so long. So I think that's another aspect that has been just really fun to work with. So.
Yeah, because it increases the quality of your life, doesn't it, Ryan? Whether you're an athlete or whether you're just, a regular person, when you're dealing with pain, I don't have to tell you. I mean, it's just, it changes your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, and, the mental side of dealing with pain is such a huge proponent that a lot of people maybe don't have the experience that I had of going through what I did. Maybe if you're a therapist and you, went to school and didn't play at the level or had the injuries I had, you have to kind of overcome. And so in our culture, we instill a lot of that hope, and the messaging of what we do is all driven around inspiring hope. And it starts with how we answer the phone. It starts with how we communicate, to the programming, to everything. And so it's really important to kind of make that positive change in people's lives, and the mental change that we see them have is amazing, and that's everything. I imagine technology is a big part of the franchise model as well, Ryan. Maybe you can touch a little bit upon that. Yeah, so we built our own software, and so we built our own software to help each of the franchise partners be able to manage and execute the Matterhorn Method. And so how we seamlessly transition someone from, their neurological breakdowns and what we found as the root cause of their problem, to how we build that personalized training, and to make sure that it's still customized. And that's kind of been kind of the most greatest breakthrough of our software development, is making sure that we give them the tools and the knowledge and the know-how and the guardrails built into the system, so that they can go execute and still give that person a very personalized program. So that's been a big kind of thing we're working on, and we're going to continue to iterate over time.
Right. I think that's fantastic. Maybe we could talk a little bit about franchising, Ryan. I mean, so what's important to you, like when you're meeting with a prospective franchisee? How do you know that, they're a good fit? Like, what do you look for? What's important to you or your business partner?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. We're being very selective. It's early in our days of franchising. We're being, some would say overly selective, because we want to make sure we get it right and we have the right fit for us. So we look for people who are very determined to make an impact and help people in their community. That's like number one. Number two, an athletic mindset and focus. Our culture is very athletic based. We believe we are all athletes, whether we can just walk and play with our kids, or if we're actually playing a high level sport. And I think the third thing is just, good communication skills and also being competitive. We want people who are competitive and want to compete and want to really have that, grit to start their own business and be successful. So
that's where the sports come in, right, Ryan? Is the competitiveness, right? Is what we learn from sports. So I think that's great. How's the training work, Ryan, or will it work? I mean, once decide that they are a good fit for Matterhorn Fit, how does the training work? Would they come to corporate? Like, how does that work? Yeah. So we have very extensive kind of support and training process that starts day one. We have all of it
systematized to take them through the process from manuals, virtual calls. Yeah. And then we actually bring them on for a week when they're ready to become in-house. And by that time, they'll have the way we communicate. We've done some role playing. They'll learn the system, the culture, the brand, know all that. And then we'll get them on site for a week and really do a lot of hands-on in our own facility, as well as in the classroom and some, role playing. And so, it's a comprehensive kind of support. We are very big and focused on the support for our franchise partners. It is what we've seen is, a lot of, some other franchise will give you the manual and go ahead, open your franchise. And we believe in, constant support, constant education, constant development, both from helping them personally develop as a business owner and be successful, but also to develop their skills inside the business.
Right. Did you know that you were, it's kind of a strange question, but did you know that you were an entrepreneur, Ryan? I mean, I believe I remember reading, and I might be incorrect in this, but I think your parents or your dad might have been an entrepreneur, wasn't he? Yeah. So did you know?
So
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my dad was an entrepreneur. You're good. My dad was an entrepreneur. He started a staffing service company and a vendor management software company as well for the staffing industry. Right. He grew his company. It was operating in multiple states and in the UK, and so it was always seeing that and having him kind of watching him grow his business and just we're very similar in our personality, so I think it's a natural fit with my background just in sports and being a leader and kind of all that. So so it's always kind of been in my want to start my own business. I was fortunate to work with Sean Sullivan, our co-founder, in my own career, because he's been just the perfect partner to start this with, and we complement each other pretty well. So.
Yeah, I think that's great, because I always wonder, because I never got to your level, but, I wonder sometimes if athletes, because their careers do end kind of early, don't they? I mean, at some point, I guess you have to kind of just say, okay, I'm a little bit old for this sport and, think about something else. So I always wonder if a lot of athletes say, what am I going to do after my career's over, whether it's professional baseball or hockey or football, and I do notice a lot more. It seems like a lot more athletes are even moving or steering towards franchising, which I think is interesting. And so the reason I ask you about entrepreneurship is, from everything you've learned up to this point, because the majority of our listeners, Ryan, we call them aspiring entrepreneurs. Most of them have it in their mind that they would like to go the franchise route. And so, I mean, from everything you've learned up to this point, on franchising or entrepreneurship or business, what advice would you give to our listeners then in their quest to buy a franchise? Because there's so much out there today, and it's a little bit overwhelming, So what would you say to them?
Yeah. I think first you want to find a business you're passionate about, right? Yeah. Just to buy a business and to go and work at it every day, Starting a business is hard, no matter what you're doing, and you have to continue to have that passion to really bring that energy every day that you need to do it. So the first thing I would be to try to find an industry that you're passionate about. The second thing, try to find a business that's differentiated. There's so much out there of people doing the same, and you really want to highlight and find businesses that can help you stand out in your market when you're opening. So I think those are kind of the two things. I think for us, people who are interested in the health and wellness space, we have a differentiated process, which is, which lets you kind of open up, like I said, and use our systems that we have to really help stand out. So.
Yeah, and Matterhorn Fit does that, right? I mean, again, I've done 850 of these interviews, and I can't say I've had any concept on the show like your own since doing this, which was why I was so excited to meet with you today. If you can look into a crystal ball, whether a crystal ball is 1 year or 3 years or 5 years, where do you see Matterhorn Fit down the road, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, we have something special, and we believe that this is the future of rehabilitation and training. And because of what we've been able to do on the pain relief side, we envision this company and this brand and the Matterhorn Method growing exponentially, and that's our focus every single day. And so with that, you need great people, right? It doesn't happen without great people, great partners, and from us, great support and great systems. Yeah. And so those are the things we're focused on really doing, for next month, next year, next 5 years, That's great. And really seeing where that takes us. So we believe we have something very special. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it's very exciting. What's the best way, Ryan, for our listeners to get more information on Matterhorn Fit? Of course, there's the franchise opportunity, but maybe even the service itself. Are there any websites you can kind of point them to? Yeah. So MatterhornFitFranchise.com. We'll get you to our franchise website where you can find some more information, and you can request more info, and you'll get an overview video of the opportunity. If you're in the area where one of our facilities are, MatterhornFit.com is where you can book your initial evaluation and go through the Matterhorn process. So that's fantastic. Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you, Ryan, and I'd really like to invite you back over the next year or so as you continue to grow, because I think this is an exciting opportunity.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time, and would love to be back. Appreciate it so
Likewise.
much.
This has been my pleasure, Ryan, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up in our next segment, we will be playing a clip from our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? Franchise Interviews, an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com. Or you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. We've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today's great quote in franchising comes from Tom Kraus, the CEO of Donato's Pizza. And Donato's is a family-owned, privately held company that treats franchise partners like they're part of their family. In this Great Quote in Franchising podcast, Tom discusses the importance of directing your energy to the right place, and he uses a great analogy called batteries not included. So let's go right into our podcast with Tom Kraus, CEO of Donato's Pizza. What advice would you give them in their quest to buy a franchise?
I think the whole key is putting the right resources in the right spot. So I'll use a quote from one of my old bosses at Wendy's, Jim Neer, who he always talked about batteries not included. And what he meant by that was, if you're going to be a franchisee or a franchise partner, as we call them, you're buying into a system that exists. So don't put your energy trying to change the system or change the recipe or work that side of the system. Put your energy in bringing your whole self into the business. Bring your energy into leading your people. Bring the energy into building the business in the community or giving back to the community. I've noticed those that are less successful don't put their energy into that, but they're trying to revise something that already is a part of the operating plan that, maybe it's not perfect, but if you're spending your time trying to change the recipe or the operating system, maybe franchising isn't what you want to do. Maybe you want to start your own restaurant. And so I think the key, but more importantly, I think is batteries aren't included. So put your whole energy into building a culture within the organization and building a reputation in the community. That's where you'll win every time.
No, I think that's great advice. I love that analogy. Batteries not included. It's about trust, isn't it, Tom? I mean, if you're going to invest into a system, like Donato's, is you have to have that level of trust, don't you? In order to.
Yeah, you really do. And it's not to say that we really do a lot of collaborating with our franchise system. We have an advisory council, and we meet regularly, and we get advice from them, and they help guide the business. But once we've decided, what the program is or whatever, let's go ahead and just execute that program. So
Right. Absolutely. That's fantastic. If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Tom Kraus of Donato's Pizza, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to our franchises listed alphabetically page, and then go to the D section. Or you can go to our franchises listed by category page and go to our food section. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast such a big hit. Since we've launched our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast, we've had 72,671 downloads, 37,888 RSS clicks, and 727 shared links. So once again, we'd just like to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.